Kai Mercer's boots sank slightly into the strange red soil of Veyra 9. The air shimmered faintly, like it carried a heat invisible to the eye, and every breath felt heavier than the last. She lifted her mask for a moment, testing the atmosphere. Her lungs screamed almost instantly. She grabbed her chest and coughed. The warning was sharp. Please stop. I can only take 3 breaths before the air burns. The team had landed with high hopes. Veyra 9 was untouched, an exoplanet that could be humanity's next home. The reports had called it perfect for colonization, but reality was far more dangerous. The oxygen content was low, and the air carried a chemical unknown to the best human sensors. Exposure for more than a few seconds caused burning in the lungs, dizziness, and in severe cases, death. Kai's heart raced. She glanced at Dr. Helena Rourke, the team's lead scientist, and Marco Tanaka, the engineer in charge of the atmospheric scanners. Both were struggling to breathe through their masks. "We need to move slowly," Kai said, voice tight. Every breath counts. They had begun surveying a crater near the landing site. It was enormous, wider than any earthly canyon. Red rock cliffs surrounded them, dotted with crystals that caught the sun's pale orange light. The crystals seemed alive in their reflections, twisting and shifting. Kai squinted. She thought she saw movement inside one of them, a flicker of something alive. "Did anyone else see that?" she asked. Marco shook his head. "You're imagining it. Focus on the scanners," Marco said, but his hand trembled slightly. Kai ignored him. Her instincts screamed that the planet was watching, alive in a way they could not yet understand. She crouched beside a shard of rock and touched its surface carefully. A vibration ran through her fingers like a pulse. Her eyes widened. The crystals weren't just minerals, they were something more. "Something intelligent, Helena," she whispered. "This planet, it might be alive." Helena frowned. "Alive? You mean like plants?" "That doesn't make sense. It's a rocky planet. Nothing can survive like this." Kai shook her head. "Not like plants. Something else. It's reacting." Before Helena could respond, a soft light pulsed from the crystals. The light shimmered and spread across the crater floor like ripples on water. The team froze. Even Marco's usual sarcasm fell silent. The air felt heavier now, almost electric. Kai's breathing quickened. She counted silently. 1, 2, 3. The third breath burned sharply. Her chest tightened. She stumbled back, clutching her mask. "We can't stay here long," she said. "It's not safe." Suddenly, movement appeared at the far edge of the crater. A figure, tall and slender, seemed to glide above the ground. Its skin shimmered like the crystals themselves, reflecting the red light of the sun. Kai's breath caught. She had never seen anything like it. The figure seemed fragile yet powerful, moving with precision in the burning air. "Marco, do you see that?" she whispered. Marco nodded, eyes wide. What is it?" The figure stopped and tilted its head as if observing them. Kai noticed it had no visible mouth or eyes, only smooth crystalline surfaces that pulsed with light. She realized with a shock that it was breathing the same air that was scorching her lungs without a mask. The team's fear spiked. Helena stepped forward. "We should record this," she said, reaching for her datapad. Kai shook her head. "No, we don't know what it is." "Don't provoke it." But the creature moved closer, slowly, deliberately. Kai counted her breaths again. 1, 2, 3. Her lungs burned. She coughed violently, nearly falling to her knees. "We have to retreat," she gasped. Suddenly the figure stopped, raising one elongated arm, or what she assumed was an arm. A soft vibration ran through the ground and a gentle pulse of light flowed toward them. Kai felt the burning ease slightly. Her lungs still ached, but it was manageable. "Is it helping?" Marco asked, incredulous. Kai swallowed hard. "I think, yes. But we have to be careful. It's intelligent." The team moved cautiously backward, following the guidance of the figure's light. It led them to a series of crystalline formations that formed a natural path, almost like a bridge across the crater. The planet seemed to guide them, but Kai couldn't shake the feeling that the air itself was a weapon. One wrong step could leave them exposed to the toxic atmosphere. As they crossed the path, a sudden wind swept through the crater. The air burned their lungs even through the masks. Kai counted silently. 1, 2, 3. Her chest tightened painfully. She stumbled but caught herself on a rock shard. "Stay close," she yelled. "We can't afford mistakes." At the end of the path, the figure stopped near a small depression in the ground. Here the air felt lighter, Not safe exactly, but enough to breathe without immediate pain. Kai lowered her mask briefly, savoring the small relief. This is incredible, Helena breathed. It created a safe zone? Kai shook her head. I don't think it created it. I think it exists naturally and it wants us to find it. The team spent a few tense minutes observing the area. The figure, the crystal humanoid, watched silently. Its light pulses were gentle, almost communicative. Kai realized it wasn't attacking. It was testing them. Why would it want us here? Marco muttered, still wide-eyed. We're humans. We destroy planets. We shouldn't be here. Kai frowned. Maybe it wants to see if we can survive. If we're worth interacting with. She glanced at the figure, which now raised both arms. A wave of pulsing light radiated across the small depression. The pain in her lungs eased even more. She could take a breath without the sharp burn. The team was silent for a moment, caught between awe and fear. For Kai, the realization was clear. This planet was alive, and it had rules. The creatures, whatever they were the guardians. They had adapted to the poisonous air, learned its patterns, and survived where humans could not. Kai's mind raced. This discovery was bigger than any human mission. If they could understand the ecosystem, respect it, they might have a chance to survive here. If they failed, the consequences would be deadly. A sudden tremor shook the ground. Dust fell from the crater walls. Kai instinctively counted her breaths. 1, 2, 3. Pain flared in her chest. She coughed violently, tears running down her cheeks. The team called out to each other, struggling to stay upright in the unstable terrain. The figure moved to shield them, spreading a web of crystalline light along the ground. It was beautiful, almost magical, but the warning was clear. They were still in danger. Kai realized something crucial. They couldn't just explore the planet carelessly. Every step, every breath had to be measured. One wrong move could mean death. She looked at her team, their faces pale behind their masks, and felt the weight of responsibility. Listen, she said, voice firm despite her exhaustion. We can't rush. We have to follow the planet's rules. It's alive. It's guiding us. If we fight it, we won't survive. Helena nodded slowly. Marco was still staring at the crystalline figure, mouth open. Kai could feel the tension in the air, the unspoken fear that one mistake would cost them all their lives. Kai took a deep, careful breath, counting slowly. 1, 2, 3. Her lungs burned, but she endured. She could feel the planet watching, testing them, and she understood. Survival here wasn't about strength or technology. It was about respect and patience. As night fell on the alien horizon, the crystals began to glow with soft light, illuminating the crater like a city of stars. The figure stood tall, watching over them. Kai realized they had reached a fragile truce with the planet itself. They had survived the first day, but she knew the hardest challenges were yet to come. The cliffhanger loomed in her mind. Beyond the crater, deeper into the planet, there were unknown dangers. Life forms more deadly, more intelligent, and more alien than anything humans had ever faced. But Kai also felt a flicker of hope. If they could learn the planet's secrets, humans might not only survive, they could thrive. And with that thought, Kai whispered under her breath, almost as a promise. 3 breaths. And I'll survive. 3 breaths. And I'll learn your world. The sun rose slowly over the red horizon of Veyra 9, casting long shadows across the crater. Kai Mercer awoke with a shiver. The air was still heavy and sharp. Even within the small, safe depression, the crystal figure had guided them to the night before. Her lungs ached slightly, a reminder that every breath still mattered. She counted silently, 1, 2, 3, and forced herself to remain calm. Survival was a matter of patience, not panic. The team gathered their equipment and checked the sensors again. Helena Rourke, always the scientist, had begun taking careful readings of the crystals around the depression. The data was astonishing. These formations were not mere minerals. They seemed to store energy, pulsate in response to movement, and even communicate through light vibrations. Look at this, Helena whispered, pointing at the data pad. These crystals, they're alive. They respond to us, but they also protect the planet. It's almost like the planet itself is conscious. Marco Tanaka leaned closer, his usual bravado muted by awe. And that figure last night? It's part of them, isn't it? Kai nodded. Yes, I think it's a guardian, or maybe more than one. It's guiding us, but testing us too. If we move too fast or take too much, we'll fail. Before anyone could respond, a soft vibration ran through the ground. The guardian figure emerged from the crater's edge, its crystalline surface reflecting the rising sun. Kai's heart pounded. The figure's presence was both comforting and terrifying. It could survive here, yet they couldn't. Every breath outside the depression was a gamble. The guardian moved closer, raising one arm slowly. Pulses of light spread across the ground, and Kai felt the burning sensation in her lungs ease. She gasped, counting carefully. 1, 2, 3. She survived. The guardian seemed to acknowledge her, and she felt a strange connection, as if the creature was teaching her something about the planet. Let's follow it, Kai said. Carefully. Every step counts. The team moved in single file, the guardian leading them across jagged crystal terrain. The red soil crunched underfoot, and strange, delicate plants glimmered with faint energy. The air outside the depression still burned, but following the guardian's path made it manageable. Kai counted her breaths meticulously, instructing Helena and Marco to do the same. After an hour, they reached a shallow valley where the landscape changed dramatically. Towering crystal spires surrounded a small pool of liquid that shimmered with an iridescent glow. Kai approached cautiously. The air here was lighter, easier to breathe, but still far from safe. This is incredible, Helena breathed. It's like a natural sanctuary. Maybe the planet has more of these hidden zones, Kai nodded, and the Guardian is showing us where they are. We can survive here, but only if we respect the planet. Suddenly, movement rippled across the surface of the pool. Small, translucent creatures rose from the liquid, their bodies glistening like water and crystal combined. Kai instinctively held her breath, counting carefully. 1, 2, 3. The creatures circled the team, observing. They emitted soft vibrations, almost musical, which resonated with the crystal spires. Kai realized the planet's life forms were connected, communicating through energy, light, and vibration. It was a network, a living system that humans could only begin to understand. Marco swallowed hard. This is amazing and terrifying. Everything here is alive. Everything watches us, Kai's eyes narrowed. And everything will judge us. If we're reckless, we die. If we respect the rules, we might survive. Helena stepped closer to the pool, fascinated. I want to take samples, just a few. We need to study them. Kai shook her head firmly. No, not yet. We don't understand the consequences. This planet isn't ours to experiment on. We survive first, study later. The guardian figure shifted, and the pulses of light grew more intense. Kai realized it was warning them. Even small acts could have big consequences. Kai took a deep breath, counting. 1, 2, 3. Her chest burned, but she forced herself to remain calm. The lesson was clear. Every action mattered. Hours passed as the team explored the valley. The air, though dangerous, allowed brief movements. Kai noticed subtle patterns. Where the crystal spires glowed brighter, the air was safer. Where shadows fell, the burning intensified. She began to understand that the planet's defense was active, responding to their presence, guiding them toward safety, but also reminding them that danger was always near. As they navigated the valley, Kai spotted something unusual, a small cave embedded in a crystalline hill. Light flickered within, hinting at something alive inside. She felt the guardian pulse softly, almost urging her forward. This might be a shelter, Kai whispered. Or maybe a place where the planet stores energy. Either way, it's worth exploring carefully. Helena and Marco nodded, trusting Kai's instincts. They moved closer, counting every breath. Kai led them inside, and the temperature and air quality improved slightly. The cave was lined with crystal walls that shimmered softly, casting rainbows across the floor. The pool from the valley extended into this space, feeding tiny channels of liquid that glowed faintly. Inside, Kai felt something stir, a presence. Not the guardian, but something smaller, delicate and aware. She held her breath, counting once, twice, 3 times, and stepped closer. From the shadows, a small creature emerged, its body crystalline but soft, almost fragile. It tilted its head, observing them with intelligent curiosity. Kai froze. The creature was harmless, yet its awareness was palpable. It seemed to study them as much as they studied it. She whispered, "We're not here to hurt you. We only want to survive." The creature pulsed with light, a response that Kai interpreted as understanding. The guardian's presence outside intensified, as if approving the interaction. Kai realized that the planet's life was not just intelligent, It was connected. Every creature, every crystal, every drop of liquid communicated. The planet itself had a consciousness, ancient and deliberate. Humans, she understood, were intruders. Only those who respected the rules could survive. Hours passed in the cave as they rested, taking careful breaths and observing the delicate creatures. Kai noticed patterns in their movements and light pulses. Each pulse seemed to prepare the air, making it slightly safer for humans to breathe for brief moments. The Guardian was not merely a guide, it was a teacher. As they prepared to leave the cave, Kai counted her breaths again. 1, 2, 3, and forced herself forward. The team moved cautiously, exiting into the valley. The sunlight hit the crystals, creating a dazzling display of color and light. Kai felt a surge of hope. If they could learn from the planet, survive its rules and respect its guardians, humanity might thrive here without destruction. But as they moved back toward the crater, the air suddenly shifted. A wave of burning wind swept across the valley. Kai's chest tightened violently. She gasped. 1, 2, 3. Her lungs screamed. She coughed, staggering backward. Marco and Helena struggled alongside her. The guardian figure appeared instantly, raising both arms. Pulses of light formed a protective shield around them, easing the burning just enough for survival. Kai understood. The planet's defenses were not passive. Any misstep triggered a response. Humans could survive only by listening, observing, and moving with care. Kai steadied herself. "We can do this," she said. "We follow the Guardian. Every step counts. We respect the rules." The team nodded, silently trusting her judgment. Together, they moved carefully across the valley, counting breaths, following the pulses of light that marked the safe paths. Every step was deliberate, every action measured. Kai felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her, but also a strange exhilaration. Humanity had faced countless dangers in space, but this was different. Survival was not about weapons or technology. It was about understanding, respect, and adaptation. As night fell, the crystals glowed faintly, casting soft light across the valley. The Guardian figure stood tall, watching over them, its pulses a silent warning and reassurance. Kai realized they had survived the second day, not by force, but by learning the planet's rules, by counting their breaths, and by respecting the life around them. The cliffhanger loomed. Deeper into the planet, the air would become more dangerous, the Guardians more vigilant, and the challenges far greater. But Kai also knew something vital. Humanity could survive here, not by domination, but by learning to breathe in harmony with a living world. She whispered under her breath, almost as a promise. 3 breaths, and I will learn. 3 breaths, and we will survive. Kai Mercer's lungs burned with every step as she led her team deeper into Veyra 9. The Crystal Guardian glided ahead, pulses of light marking a narrow path through jagged terrain. The air outside the small safe zones was toxic, sharper and heavier than anything they had faced before. Kai counted her breaths carefully, measuring each one like a lifeline. 1, 2, 3, and held herself steady. "This air, it's getting worse," Marco Tanaka muttered, struggling to keep his mask tight. His usual confidence had vanished, replaced by fear and exhaustion. "How far can we go like this?" Kai shook her head. "We follow the Guardian. The planet itself is teaching us. We survive if we respect it, but if we rush, we die." Helena Rourke adjusted her sensors, scanning the air. "It's almost as if the planet knows exactly what we need to survive and when. The crystal pulses, the safe zones, it's all connected." "It's alive," Kai nodded. "Exactly. We are not alone here. We are visitors, and the planet is testing us." They reached a wide canyon, the red rocks rising like walls around them. The air was heavier here, almost unbearable. Kai counted 1, 2, 3. Her chest burned, but she held herself upright. Marco stumbled behind her, coughing violently. Helena grabbed his arm, steadying him. Suddenly, a wave of toxic wind swept through the canyon, forcing them to drop to the ground. Kai's mind raced. The planet wasn't passive. It defended itself. They had crossed the Guardian's path without care, and now the environment reacted. The Guardian figure appeared instantly, raising its arms. Pulses of light spread across the canyon, forming a protective dome around them. Kai felt the air ease slightly, just enough for short, controlled breaths. 1, 2, 3. She survived, but the warning was clear. Any misstep could be fatal. Kai motioned for the team to follow closely behind the Guardian, moving with extreme caution. "We have to synchronize with the planet," she said. "Every step, every breath matters. Watch the pulses, learn their rhythm." Hours passed as they navigated the canyon, moving slowly from one safe zone to the next. The terrain grew stranger, crystal formations jutting from the cliffs, delicate vines that glowed faintly, and pools of liquid that shimmered with soft energy. Each step was a lesson in survival, each breath a careful calculation. At last they reached a plateau overlooking a vast expanse of jagged terrain. Below them, a massive storm of toxic gases churned, swirling across the valley like a living force. Kai's eyes widened. The storm was a defense mechanism, a natural barrier that no human could pass without guidance. "We can't go down there," Marco whispered, fear evident in his voice. Kai shook her head. "We have to. It's the only way to reach the central zone, the heart of the planet. If we learn its secrets there, we can survive, and maybe thrive." The Guardian's pulses grew stronger, signaling a path through the storm. Kai counted her breaths, steadying herself. 1, 2, 3, and took the first step toward the edge. The air burned sharply, but she forced herself to move, following the light. Helena and Marco followed, trusting Kai's lead. The storm roared around them. The toxic wind lashed at their masks and suits, testing their endurance. Kai's chest tightened violently. 1, 2, 3. She held herself upright, forcing each step forward. The Guardian glided ahead, its light pulses guiding them, shielding them just enough to survive. As they moved deeper into the storm, Kai noticed something incredible. The toxic gases were not random. Patterns formed, shifting like waves, almost deliberate. The planet itself was alive, reacting to their presence, guiding them along a safe path. Every hazard was calculated, every danger a test. Kai's mind raced. Humanity had faced countless dangers across the galaxy, but this was different. Here, survival was not about weapons or technology. It was about intelligence, patience, and respect for life. Hours later, they reached the heart of the plateau, a massive crystalline structure rising from the ground. It pulsed with a soft, steady light, bathing the surrounding terrain in color. The air here was heavier still, but Kai felt a strange warmth, a reassurance. This was the central zone, the heart of Veyra 9, where the planet's energy was concentrated. The Guardian stepped forward, raising both arms. Pulses of light spread across the plateau, forming a protective dome. Kai felt the air ease just enough for measured breaths. 1, 2, 3. She inhaled, steadying herself. "This is it," Kai whispered. "The heart of the planet." Helena looked around in awe. "It's incredible. The energy, the crystals. It's alive. The planet itself is conscious. It's been testing us all this time." Kai nodded. "And now we must choose. We can take what we want, risk destroying this world, or we can learn, respect, and survive." Marco swallowed hard. "We could make a fortune with this knowledge. Resources. Technology." Kai shook her head firmly. "Oh, if we harm the planet, we'll fail. We won't survive. Respect is the only way forward." The Guardian's pulses grew stronger, affirming her choice. It stepped aside, revealing a path deeper into the central zone. Kai counted her breaths carefully, 1, 2, 3, and stepped forward, leading her team along the illuminated path. Inside, the heart of the planet was unlike anything they had ever seen. Crystals rose like towers. Channels of glowing liquid flowed through the ground, and delicate life forms pulsed with energy. The air was still dangerous, but guided by the Guardian's light, they could move safely. Kai studied the patterns carefully. The planet's life was connected, communicating through energy and light. It wasn't hostile, but it demanded respect. Every creature, every crystal, every breath was part of a living system that humans had to understand. Helena and Marco followed closely, counting breaths and observing the life around them. The lesson was clear. Survival here required patience, intelligence, and adaptation. Humans could thrive, but only if they worked with the planet, not against it. Suddenly, the ground trembled. The channels of glowing liquid shifted violently, and a massive surge of energy shot across the plateau. Kai's chest burned, her lungs screaming. 1, 2, 3. She held herself upright, forcing controlled breaths. The Guardian moved swiftly, shielding them with pulses of light. Kai realized that the planet was testing them again. This was the ultimate challenge, the final test of endurance, intelligence, and respect. Kai focused, guiding her team through the shifting energy. Every step was precise, every breath calculated. The toxic air bit at their lungs, but they survived by following the Guardian, moving with care and respect. At last, the surge subsided. The plateau calmed, the energy of the central zone returning to a steady pulse. Kai looked around, relief washing over her. They had survived the final test. The Guardian's light pulsed softly, almost like a smile of approval. Kai understood the truth. Humanity could survive here, not by domination, not by force, but by listening, observing, and respecting the planet. Every breath mattered, every step counted, and intelligence was the key to survival. She turned to her team. We've learned the planet's rules. We can survive, but we must leave the rest untouched. We respect the life here or we fail. Helena nodded, her eyes shining with understanding. We've learned more in these days than years of research could teach. This planet, it's alive and it's wise. Marco looked at the glowing crystals, then at Kai. You're right. We can't take anything. We survive by respecting it. That's humanity's strength, our intelligence, not our greed. Kai smiled faintly, counting her breaths one last time. 1, 2, 3, and inhaled deeply, savoring the lesson. They had survived Veyra 9's trials, learned its secrets, and discovered a truth far more valuable than any resource. Humans could thrive in harmony with life, even on a world that seemed deadly at first. As they prepared to return to their ship, Kai glanced back at the central zone. The crystals pulsed softly, the Guardian watching silently. She realized they had formed a connection with the planet, an understanding that would guide future generations. 3 breaths, she whispered under her breath, almost as a promise. 3 breaths, and humanity has learned to survive. The team moved carefully back across the plateau, following the Guardian's light, counting their breaths and observing the delicate balance of life around them. Each step reinforced the lesson they had learned. Survival was not about strength or weapons, but about intelligence, respect, and harmony with life. As night fell over Veyra 9, the crystals glowed faintly under the stars. The Guardian stood at the edge of the plateau, watching them leave. Kai knew they would return one day, wiser and prepared, but for now they had survived the ultimate test. Humanity had learned to breathe carefully, live carefully, and respect a world that was both deadly and beautiful. Kai Mercer exhaled, counting one last time. 1, 2, 3, and smiled. They had survived. They had learned. And humanity had earned its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as learners, adapters, and guardians of life.